Something that caught my eye, I wasn't going to comment on this because sometimes I think, don't be too London-centric, Michelle, but I couldn't help myself, ladies and gents. I can't help it. Sadiq Khan, he put a tweet out. I can't help it, Jacqueline, honestly. He put a tweet out yesterday. So we all know what happened at the weekend. You had the Unite the Kingdom rally. He says, I know many people, particularly from London's diverse communities, are feeling extremely worried following the events this weekend. He says it took him back to how he felt growing up in the 70s and 80s when far-right political parties marched on the street. He goes on again. He tells Londoners and proud Brits to unite and reject the far right, just as they've done before. He'll do everything that he can to challenge the far right. And he goes on and he goes on and he goes on. He goes on about how he wants to unite us all. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, if you want to reunite everybody, what you're doing, calling so many people in vast swathes far right, I thought to myself, he might sit and reflect on his words. He didn't. He doubled down. Listen to this.
I want to address the events of this weekend. On Saturday, Met officers once again put themselves on the line to keep Londoners safe and facilitate the right to protest. I want to say thank you to all those involved for their work and to offer my heartfelt thoughts to those that were injured in the line of duty. I also want to take this opportunity to categorically reject the appalling racism we saw on the capital streets this weekend. As the far right attempts to sow hatred, fear and division, I know many Londoners will be feeling scared. I want to be clear, everyone, no matter their race, faith or background, is welcome here.
What appalling racism that was on the streets of Britain? What is it you're referring to? And why is it not, if you want everyone to feel safe irrespective of their skin colour, rather than terrifying people of colour, constantly describing normal average people as far right and racist and all the rest of it, because that is going to terrify people, why don't you actually maybe, I don't know, go along, meet people, talk to people, and you would have actually have realised, Sadiq Khan, that most of those people there were just normal average people. Yes, of course, there was some fringe, horrendous activity which nobody would condone. Most people at that match probably wouldn't have even have seen or known anything about that. And yes, of course, awful police officers attacked when doing their job. Nobody would celebrate and support that. But I also saw, by the way, Met police officers not really behaving very well at all. I saw people getting absolutely whacked in their faces with the corner of the shields who weren't even doing anything. They weren't being violent in any way. And the protesters should never have been able to meet in the first place. Jacqueline?
Absolutely spot on. I mean, this is a nasty little man, is Mayor Khan. For 23 months, Londoners have put up with these pro-Palestinian, anti-Semitic hate marches practically every week. There have been hundreds of arrests, actually, during that time. And they've been allowed to continue. And these are people masked up. These are people carrying placards about Nazis and fascists and kill the Jews and all of this sort of stuff. And he's hidden behind the damn sofa for nearly 2 years. The Notting Hill Carnival, there were 365 arrests. So they found knives and all sorts of things.
528, actually, it got revised.
Yeah, I think it's probably been revised up. And then yesterday, to accuse the British public, of course there were some people. There's always a little margin where they want to have a bit of a punch-up with the police, and none of us condone it. And there were, I think, 22 police officers who were injured, and that is 22 too many. Nevertheless, there were around, to the BBC's figures, I think, about 150,000 people there. And the point you raise is key. When we've ever had these pro-Pal marches, if anybody wanted to march with a different, obviously with a different tune, they were kept miles away. Why did the Metropolitan Police allow these two marches to actually have a buffer zone of about, I don't know, 25 yards and not stop this vindictive group who then caused horrendous trouble at the front, actually, of the march, which were men, women, children, babies, there were gospel singers. I mean, there were many people in the media who actually did attend. So if the mayor's so worried about these things, why wasn't he there?
$1 million question?
Look, I mean, I think that just as I got angry when people said that everybody on the pro-Gaza marches is full of hate or anti-Semitic, as everyone, I'm not saying there weren't elements with it. I think it's wrong for anybody to condemn the march on Saturdays. Everybody who went on that is a fascist or far right, because clearly they weren't. There were elements of hate, frankly, in both sets of marches, which is deeply disturbing on both fronts. And I actually think, as mayor, we need to do something about endless marches, whatever the cause is, bringing disruption to the city. And, we need to limit the number of marches. But, whatever the cause, which is what they do, frankly, in other cities as well. So, no, I think that people need to listen to what people on the street are saying. I think that politicians need to listen to people on the street saying that they think that what's going on in Gaza is wrong. And I think people need to listen to people who have concerns about life in their communities and immigration policy, etc., who were marching on Saturday.
Yeah, but Matt, this was one march. One very big march.
I'm not saying it should have been banned. I'm saying overall
one march. We've had all of the problems clearly in Epping. We've got massive issues, and people are being closed down, whether it's on Twitter or whether it's just saying something probably that's fairly normal, and then being accused of being far-right hooligans or fascists and all of this sort of stuff. A lot of politicians are as bad, because I know, being in politics, you raise something and immediately, because they don't like what you've said on the left, particularly on the left this is, you're immediately a fascist, or you're immediately a homophobe, or you're immediately a something phobe. And that seems to be the place that they always go to. And it's lazy, it is lazy, they can't even hold their own arguments, and you've only got to see what happened at Oxford University when the American, not a politician, but somebody that came and debated, a young man, and the description when he was absolutely assassinated by the president-elect of the Oxford Union. Yeah, you couldn't make this up.
Look, so you're on about she's on about Charlie Kirk, and she's talking about George, the incoming president-elect. That is so appalling.
This is the dialogue that we're having to listen to.
to try and unseat him as a consequence of that. Look, I agree with you. I thought what was unfortunate about Saturday, because actually my office is on the route. I live where the march started, and my office is on the route of the march, and I had to go into the office. I marched, and there were people wearing there was somebody in a Union Jack cowgirl outfit who was clearly not a fascist. And was, in a sense, just wanting to make a point. I think they should be listened to. I don't think that Tommy Robinson should be listened to. I don't think that Lawrence Fox should be listened to. And then I saw some of the counter-protesters.
Why don't you think?
Because I think that then they are unpleasant people who've expressed their views in the wrong way. Just as I don't think extremists on the other side.
So because you don't like someone, they should.
No, I don't listen like extremes, and I don't like people like the Green Party deputy leader who made those comments.
There was a young schoolgirl. We know the story. They were having a culture day, and a kid turns up at school wearing a Union flag.
And that was daft. That was wrong.
Dress, looking lovely. And they sent her home, and she said, well, this is our English culture.
And
she spoke at the march, and it was so refreshing, this lovely young girl saying, she's very proud to be British. We are proud to be British. And our culture
I'm proud to be British, but I'm not proud of Tommy Robinson.
But our culture is as important as everybody else's.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm proud to be British, but I'm not proud of Tommy Robinson. And I hope that we can express, our support, our pride in our country without people like Tommy Robinson trying to capture it and saying the flag's all about them. It's not. It's about all of us.
And a lot of us knew that this was much wider than one person. This is much wider.
Because no one, from what I've seen, I don't recall someone like Tommy Robinson or anyone saying, this flag is all about me.
No.
There are people, millions upon millions upon millions of normal, ordinary people in this country that do not feel like they have got a voice. They feel like they've tried to take their voice to the ballot box multiple times over. There's no point me recapping all the times, there's been so many. And the exact opposite has occurred from what they have voted for. Their neighbourhoods, their communities and all the rest of it. They are changing at such a rate of pace and speed and all the rest of it. People like Tommy Robinson have been speaking out for years and years and years and years. They've been speaking out. Often they do things that I don't agree with, don't get me wrong,
sure.
But they have been speaking out with very hard to hear messages, and people, they don't want to hear the messages that those people are trying to deliver. So instead of addressing the issues that are being presented, what they try and do is they go, he's a racist, don't listen to him. And what they try and do is delegitimise the messenger so that they don't have to do the work of addressing the actual message. It's gone on for decades, and it's gone on across a variety of different people.
Well, all I can say for myself is I will attack the messenger because I don't think Tommy Robinson is a good person. I think he's said and done things that I heartily disagree with. But I don't think you should. I think the message that came out of Saturday does definitely need to be listened to. And you say it's been the exact opposite of what people voted for. Well, Brexit, people voted for Brexit, they got Brexit, but they did end up with the Boris bounce as a consequence. So I know what you mean about frustration.
They voted for Brexit.
Well, I think, Michelle, what you've said is spot on.
Thank you. Should we
Absolutely.
just
Don't
end
keep
the programme
shooting.
there?
Don't
There
keep
you go.
shooting.
You'll
the
get
messenger.
invited back.
That's the end of the programme. We'll clip up that final sentence. It can be your ringtone right across the land. Michelle is spot on. There you go. The final thing that I just want to get off my chest. I don't think that elected officials paid for by you, the taxpayers, should be allowed to make statements on the likes of social media where they are smearing people, blanket smearing people, and then 10 comments off. I've noticed this happening time and time again. If you want to smear people, people can say what they want. We have free speech, free country. Face up to the consequences and allow people democratically to respond to the smears. Stop turning your comments off, is what I say to you, Sadiq Khan, and everyone else that does
And
it
the
anyway.
Metropolitan Police.
Yes. Oh, yeah, loads of people do it. I think it's awful.